you do when you... Got two interesting wines today. First one I've never had before. It is a Verdicchio di Metallica. This is from the Marche region in Italy, which is kind of south of Tuscany, and it's one of the better white wine values in all of Italy. There's two great appellations for Verdicchio. There's Verdicchio di Metallica, which is this one, and Verdicchio de Castelli de Jesi, which is considered more of the finer one. Metallica is considered maybe a little more rustic, a little more kind of less polished. But I like Verdicchio de Metallica because they're always good value, and from a good vintage like 2007, which is not like, you know, a big, ripe, opulent vintage. It's much more of a cooler vintage, and the white wines will have more acidity, more crispness, and more minerality. But who knows? This wine could also completely suck because I haven't tasted it yet. So let's get on with it. Nice color, I like already, you know, which means it's not deep gold, which means it wasn't picked overripe or anything like that. So it looks like a good natural color for Verdicchio. Let's see how it smells. Oh yes, classic Verdicchio smell, which I call swimming pool. Because I think all great Verdicchio should smell like a nice swimming pool in a suburban backyard in Long Island or something. Because, you know, there's got kind of this mineral thing that's so intense it almost comes off as chlorine, but I really don't mind it. There's also, you know, what's the greatest thing about swimming at home versus the ocean is, you know, that kind of smell and that controlled environment and yada yada yada. So it's, you know, mineral, swimming pool, there's a little kind of like green vegetable, which is good, you know, kind of like an herbaceousness, which I like. I'd say it's definitely lacking in the fruit department, but this is, you know, under $20 in white wine. In general, you're going to be getting wine that's much more mineral, I would say, especially from Europe, especially from Northern Europe, versus wine that is more fruity. But let's see it all. And Verdicchio is inherently a very, very mineral grape. I like it, I'm not crazy about it. That's my initial reaction. The wine tastes dirty to me. It actually tastes really dirty. It's one of those wines that has a long finish, but it's finishing with flavors you really don't like or don't care about. There is minerality to it. There is a richness to it. But the overwhelming vibe that I'm getting from this wine is a dirtiness of flavor. Sloppy. I don't think it's particularly well made. I don't like it, and I really usually like Verdicchio, but hey, you know, that's why we taste the wines. But it could open up, you know, after I taste the Muscadet, which is the next wine, but it also could not. I mean, it just seems kind of lacking, it seems kind of dead, it seems kind of uninspired. Maybe some food or shellfish would really liven this wine up. But, and it's got good acidity, it's got everything I like, acidity, minerality, but it's not about just having like these kind of, you know, singular components that you like in a wine. You know, if you like minerality in a wine, the wine's got minerality, that's great, but it could be like a really kind of crappy type of minerality, and it can have all these other things which, you know, drown out the minerality. This wine, I just do not like it. I just think it's uninspired, you know, there's no, I don't know. It sucks, but I don't want to harp on that because I want to taste something good. But I'll taste it again right after I taste this wine and see, you know, if it could be some sort of like youthful aggression or who knows. Now, we have Domaine de la Pépinière, which is run by a dude named Marc Olivier, who's got the greatest beard in all the wine industry, and it's Clos de Briord, which is old vines from his oldest vines in all of his vineyard holdings. And it's a Muscadet sur lie, which means it was aged on the lees, which pretty much, not to get all technical, but I will for a second. The lees are dead yeast cells that float to the top of the wine, and sur lie is a particular process where you're aging the wine after it's fermented on its lees, which gives it more of a body and a richness to it if it was not aged on lees. And Muscadet sur lie is one of the few AOC appellations in France that is named after a winemaking process, which is kind of like an interesting little factoid there. But let's get on to the wine. So this is the first time I will be tasting the 07 Briord, and if I don't like it, you know, I'll have to diss it on my own palate or something, but let's see what it's like. It's just nice to smell something so familiar. And there's a familiarity to this nose, which is wonderful. There's kind of like an intense minerality, almost a liquid minerality on the nose there. whatever. I just get fruit out of your heads, because I will not talk about fruit with this wine, because this wine is the farthest thing from fruit. This wine is all about place and minerality and acidity. And oh, you know, it smells like rain, or it smells like rain somewhere. I don't know. It's definitely a wine that evokes a lot of kind of smell memory and place memory, rather than particular fruit flavors or anything like that. Mm. Mm. The reason I was umming is because the acidity in this wine is off the chain. Muscadet always has huge acidity, and 07, really high acid vintage. I mean, this is going like right here. I cannot even control, I can barely speak. But beautiful acidity, flavors are all mineral, of course. It's kind of got like a stalagmite kind of minerality to it that kind of like staggers all over your palate, if that makes any sense. I don't even think it makes sense to me, but it is a bit youthful. It's not as expressive on the finish as I would like it, but as I have a great history of this wine, I know with air or leaving it open in the fridge for 2 or 3 days will, excuse me, I was not supposed to do that, but it happens. I'm drinking a beverage, you know, it's a bodily function, excuse me. Also, it's great to wake you up in the morning, because, you know, you saw me on camera, I just took that one sip and my whole face and my whole kind of everything changed. I mean, it's one of those wines that you take a sip and you just like, wow, I kind of almost forgot I was alive. Mm. Wow, is this wine acidic? But I love it. This may not be, I'll say it right now, this may not be to everyone's taste, because the acidity is so lively and so intense, and right now it's the focus of it. It's got this youthful, aggressive, acidic side to it. But it just leaves so much salivation on your palate and so much minerality. It's quite compelling. I definitely think it's one of the highest quality wines that I've tasted today. And as far as great Briords goes, I definitely rank this in the top 3 or 5. It just has such electricity and such verve and such kind of liveliness to it. There's no question. You know, I'm thinking about the oysters right now. This and oysters would be an unbelievable combination, no question about it, because all the vineyards here are on all the Kimmeridgian oyster beds from thousands and thousands of years ago, and it really comes through in the taste of the wine. So if you have it with a little bit of oyster, it's one of those rare, really good food wine combinations out there. Yeah, there's no fruit. I mean, there's no fruit. You're not going to be getting any of the pear or apple or any of that stuff you get from Chardonnay. You're not going to be getting any of the kind of green apple, kiwi, or papaya, or guava, or exotic things you'll get from, you know, Sauvignon Blanc or whatnot. I mean, this wine literally, I mean, it's like they got a bunch of oyster shells, liquefied them, crammed them in the glass, and that's what you're drinking. Which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It doesn't sound that desirable. But why should wine taste like fruit? Wine doesn't need to taste like fruit. For example, does cheese taste like milk? No, it doesn't. So cheese tastes kind of more like what the you know, the cows were eating in the pasture, how it was inoculated, who knows, whatnot. But that's the way this wine tastes like. It tastes kind of like so far from the grape, but it tastes much more of the place. There's no question about it. Absolutely brilliant wine. And before I totally trash this wine, I still want to taste it one more time just to see if it's improved, because it really pales so much in comparison to the Marc Olivier wine. But putting almost anything next to Marc Olivier that's white is going to make it pale in comparison. Let's try the Verdicchio one more time. Oh wow, Marc Olivier, if you're watching, if you want to look good, serve your wine next to this. It has improved. The acidity is better. It tastes more alive. It tastes less flat, less dead. And it doesn't taste as garbagey as it did before, but there's still something kind of lacking and boring and inconsequential, non-consequential. I don't even know those are words. That the wine is of no consequence. The world would not be better off, would not be worse off without this wine.